Irish rugby has had a disappointing season. The men's national team followed an underwhelming autumn series with an underwhelming Six Nations. The women's team also had a disappointing Six Nations, with just 2 wins from 5 games. Meanwhile, Leinster once again fell short in the Champions Cup with a shock home loss to Northampton, whilst Munster needed a second half fight back against Benetton in the final game of the URC to qualify for the Champions Cup. Ulster and Connacht, meanwhile, failed to qualify altogether, as Ireland will have just 2 provinces in the European Cup top tier for the first time ever. Many off-the-pitch reasons have been put forward for the struggles, but is there a more subtle, on-field reason for the decline? I joined the 8-9 Combo podcast with Brett Mckay and Harry Jones to give my thoughts. It's something that I'm noticing across rugby. If you rewind a couple of years to see when Ireland was winning Grand Slams with 110, 120 rucks per game, now we're seeing the teams that are winning are getting less than 80.
50, 60, yeah.
And it's absolutely fascinating to me. And this kind of almost sevens influence, I noticed it first with Argentina in the Rugby Championship last year with their sevens influence, about how players are looking leaner these days. And you still got the big men, obviously, who will always add value, but teams like Toulon is a great example in the top 14, willing to give up the physicality in the first 20 minutes to regain the kind of cardio advantage in the last 20. And Toulon scored something like 60% of their tries in the second half. And just, I'm weird enough to be fascinated by how many rucks each team had in a game. And I have noticed that it is dropping. The number of rucks is dropping. And I think that's kind of behind why Ireland is going through, and Irish rugby generally is going through a moment of pain at the moment, because they've been so based on death by 1,000 cuts, so based on having over 100 rucks per game to beat you. And now rugby has moved away from that. And they're having to, that's why I think they're going down the Prendergast route, because they're having to get through this ability to play without having to go through the phases. And that's why it's hurting them, and teams like the French really benefiting from that.
Yeah, the concept of winning games without the ball is more foreign and more comfortable for some teams over others. That's certainly true.
Well, just the sheer workload it takes to build to a 7th and 8th and 9th ruck when the ruck destroyers are getting so good, because they're not just going for one guy on the pilfer. Most teams now have 5 or 6 guys who can get over the ball. They have successful barge timing where you hit that counter ruck just right. 9s are getting rocked. It's just too much hard work. And you just saw it. It was beautiful to watch the Saints.
Which needs to be stamped out of the game for what it's worth.
Like the Saints were like, hey, look at you working so hard over there. We're just going to do this thing here for about 7 seconds and score. Okay, now your turn. And then Leinster would build and build and build. And it was actually, it was almost like an attritional war.